I've tested the Ego Arcade stick and now I'm having a look at the CAT 7 controller. It's an Xbox PC hybrid and apparently it's got a couple of tricks up its sleeve. Good afternoon, welcome back to Tortoise Tech. My name is Walkie Triple XL, and as previously mentioned, today we're having a look at the Madcatz CAT 7. It seems the rats were too much at play and the cat came to stay. Corny jokes aside, we have actually quite an interesting product. When it was initially brought to me with the price of 849 Rand, I thought, a wide controller for over 800 Rand in 2020? These guys must be mad. But then I started digging a little deeper. On the surface of things, it's literally just an Xbox controller with a couple of lights behind the normal button setup over here, or your normal quad button setup on the right hand side. And then when you start having a look at it and turning the product around, you'll notice a couple extra buttons. There's two extra bumpers at the front here, and then two extra ones on the bottom. And then with a further little look around, you'll notice there's a tiny little LED screen sitting in the middle over here, and then two buttons on the other side. And that's where the magic of this product actually starts to come in. I mean, the build quality is average, everything is sort of normal, and I was like, well, it's just a gamepad, right? Until I started fiddling with things over here and started figuring out what was going on. This gamepad has a couple of little tricks up its sleeves. One of them being the fact that you can switch between a normal gamepad mode and Xbox mode with the little switch on the bottom over here. And it completely changes the functionality of the device. And the Xbox mode is super handy for anything that's been ported from console to PC. You put it in Xbox mode, it picks it up as a normal Xbox controller, and all the analogs and D-pad and everything work as normal. You can then use it in gamepad mode if you want to be able to program it differently for different games. Then I would suggest you do that. You can obviously change your button mapping for those games inside of the normal Xbox suite or game bar suite that would be with your game. Now, as I said, these extra buttons are actually quite interesting for a number of reasons. One, you can have two profiles on this device, and all of the programming for these buttons and stuff is done on the device itself. I know, I was kind of shocked as well before. So these two little buttons on the bottom over here are used to access programming and macros on the device itself. And then you use your analog to switch between your profiles and that sort of stuff, and then go into the macro or into the profile where you can assign basically on the profiles any of these 6 buttons to any of the other buttons on the controller. So if you're not comfortable pressing Y all the way up there and you'd rather have it right there on your fingertip, then you can do that, and you can assign it, as I said, all on the controller. You don't actually need to do any software setups on the PC. And then we get to the macros. I did a couple of basic macros, and I actually found you can have at least 4 buttons being pressed simultaneously that you can input. So if you wanted to have your entire D-pad on one button, or your entire quad button setup here on one button over here, you can do that, and 6 times over. So for each of the buttons you can have a macro setting, and then you can have 2 different sets of that. So you can program 12 different functions onto the buttons over here. Then you get to one of the other interesting things about this is the fact that it has on-the-fly analog sensitivity settings. So you can literally on the bottom here, you can literally just go left and right, and then it will change the sensitivity per analog up and down. That's quite a lot of tomfoolery for what on the surface seems like a completely normal gamepad, and then you figure out, but damn, this thing got tricks. Another thing that they've done that's quite nice is they've made it travel like friendly, so you can remove the USB cable. Yes, it does stick in there like a barnacle to a rock, which is kind of good. At first I thought I might be breaking it by pulling it out. But luckily for me, it is detachable and it's braided and very long. By very long, I mean like very long. That's 1.8 plus. So it's like 2 meters and change, this cable. So you won't be struggling if you are connecting it to Xbox or something like that, to be able to sit on the couch next to it quite comfortably and carry on gaming. Obviously for PC it's very convenient as well, and my mate Dean and I had a little Tekken showdown in which he managed to take 5 games off of me, which is pretty good, I must say. Before I forget, one other thing that you can do as well is the sensitivity tuning for the triggers. They have 5 different positions, or 25, 50, 75 and 100. So you can then position them 4 different times over, and then it's literally quarter reactive. So if you just go in a little bit, it's already 100% on the 25, whereas you can have 50, 75 and then 100. But it does actually work quite well. I did play some Dirt 4 to test that, and it worked exactly as expected. And speaking of Dirt 4, I normally play on keyboard, and that's obviously, well, 100% sensitivity all the time, isn't it? When you're pressing the key, it's going to judge you left or right immediately, whereas this has a little bit of a delay on it. So you can then tune that directly with the bottom button. So this thing is more of a custom tuning platform for Xbox and PC than it is just a standard controller. And with this, you can get the setup that you want. You're not limited to what you get out of the box with all the customization and extra buttons and bits and stuff on it. I have to say, $850 for something with this level of feature set, now that's more like it, Madcatz.
Amazing result. That's unbeatable.
Anyway, do hope you guys have enjoyed this review. If you have, please do hit us up with a like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the flip side. Hardy dolls were not harmed or welcome in the making of this review.